Hi everyone, this is Metro Edition. I'm Matt Schuster. The new polar bear exhibit at the Louisville Zoo will be opening in 2011, but there's still a lot of work to be done. We followed one artist as she helped create the boulders and beams for the polar bear's new home.
This isn't actually a wooden beam structure. Believe it or not, these pillars are actually made out of cement.
Part of my job is to carve and also paint them to look as realistic as possible.
They've undergone a painstaking process, along with the rest of the polar bear habitat at Glacier Run.
We don't want them to feel trapped. We want them to have a really wonderful, enriched environment and give them something that they feel comfortable in.
Welcome to Glacier Run, a village on the edge of an Arctic wilderness.
The project has been years in the planning, and now, after months of molding and chiseling and shading, you can finally get an idea of what the habitat will look like.
Same thing with the glaciers. We have iridescent paints that we use to give them that really punchy blue and that punchy white. So when the sun shines on them, you really do feel like it's ice and not concrete.
For Renee, it's more than just another day on the job.
I love it. I love it.
And for the polar bears and visitors, Glacier Run's going to be quite an experience once it's completed in spring of 2011.
When you get to see a polar bear nose to nose, our hope is that it'll touch the heart and that'll open the door to teaching the mind.
It's about creating an environment, not just an exhibit, but a feeling of being in a different place, a town called Glacier Run, modeled after Churchill, Canada, known as the polar bear capital of the world.
To the north, you have the tundra and the boreal forest, but Glacier Run was a mining town, which the mining industry has slowly stopped, and right now the people are looking for other economic means, and that's where our storyline comes in about ecotourism, where people can go to learn more about these magnificent creatures, their dwindling habitat, and what we could do to help make a difference to try and slow down the melt of the Arctic sea ice, which the bears need ice for everything.
The idea is that by creating such a realistic environment, visitors will engage in the story of Glacier Run and be more receptive to learning about polar bears, their environment, and the impact of climate change on the species.
The 12,000-year Arctic sea ice is essentially gone now. It's just the ice that forms every winter. And the challenges that faces the polar bears because they need ice for their very existence.
A lot of the exhibits that we're doing now are for endangered animals that aren't really going to have a lot of habitat left. And it's really wonderful that we're trying really hard to show these kids that might not ever see what the reality is for these animals, just this slice of it.
Though the exhibit may only hold a few polar bears to begin with, Walzak hopes that if necessary, the space can be used to house rescued bears as well, up to 12 total.
Mothers that used to have triplets might now have twins. A mom with twins that used to be able to keep them nourished might only be able to allow one to survive. So we wanted to build the space that if there's ever an opportunity to rescue these stranded cubs off the tundra, that we have the space to give them a home to help preserve the species for eternity.
Why has the Louisville Zoo spent more than $20 million creating and constructing this exhibit? Well, the answer's simple: to engage and educate the more than 850,000 expected visitors and encourage them to make changes in their own lives to help lessen the impact of climate change.
Something that I've always been really passionate about is art, and I've always wanted to make a living at it. And the fact that I'm not only making something that will be here forever, everybody's going to see it. It's not like a painting where only one person ever gets to truly experience it. This is something that you're giving to a society, and that's really cool.
The Louisville Science Center has a lot to offer everyone who wants to explore a little bit more about the world around them. Here's a look inside.
Now, you may think the Science Center is just a place for kids, but we'll soon find out that it's a place for everyone to have a little bit of fun.
And then my 4 chambers go out of sync. Single now.
The Louisville Science Center is Kentucky's Science Center, and we are an interactive science experience for families, children, and even adults in some surprising and exciting ways. Well, we've been around for a very long time. In the 1800s, there was an original collection by a number of Louisvillians, and it was essentially a curiosity cabinet, a gem collection, and some of our original artifacts were actually kept at the library in those early years. In the 70s, we became one of the anchor organizations on Main Street, coming to this location and taking over some historic structures here. And we have, of course, things that people who are adults today, who were children back then, remember. The mummy and the polar bears, and some of our natural history collection is from those days. In the mid-'80s, we became an interactive, hands-on science center and became named the Louisville Science Center. There is always something going on here. As I said, we're an interactive science museum, so there are plenty of things to do on a day-to-day basis in terms of exhibit experiences and programs and demonstrations. And we offer classes and camps during holidays for children kindergarten through 8th grade. Our 4-story IMAX screen always has something to interest families. Our very youngest visitors would be interested in films like Animalopolis, showing on a weekly basis in the theater for children. Students ages 4th grade through 10th grade can participate in a project called the Virtual Science Challenge. So if families or school teachers or children in that age range go to virtualsciencechallenge.com, they will find all the parameters of this really neat science competition that basically takes the concept of a science fair and marries it with the concept of YouTube. And children can investigate a science experience and put together their own mini visual interpretation of that science project and post it to our website and compete for great prizes every year. We also do telelinks to schools actually all over the country and into Canada. So we provide virtual science experiences in classrooms for students and teachers around the country, and we're at fairs and festivals and in classrooms doing all kinds of exciting things on an ongoing basis. We also have the Bio Lab, which is often a place where visitors can stop in and do an interactive science experience about health and wellness. And we have the Heroes Gallery, which is really neat for the state of Kentucky as well, because it takes some of our most prominent scientists, health scientists, and puts them out for public display in terms of the work that they're doing relative to childhood obesity, asthma, and some of the other research that's going on around the state at the University of Kentucky, at the University of Louisville, and other places where we have newsmakers in health and wellness arenas on the world stage.
The Science Center also has a volunteer program.
Every summer we have 100 or so teenage volunteers who are part of our workforce. And then during the rest of the school year, we have a smaller number of those folks that are working with us on an ongoing basis. And they are part of our science delivery team. These young people in many cases are 10 times smarter than I am in terms of science knowledge and science capacity. Many of them are interested in pursuing science careers. Some of our teens from this summer are heading off to college in a few weeks and pursuing science degrees, and they're doing pocket science, they're doing demonstrations, they're facilitating the experience of our visitors throughout our exhibit galleries and in our camp settings with young people.
Science Center volunteer Josiah Nelson shows one of his demonstrations.
I'm doing what they call balancing nails. I'm going to be balancing all these nails on this one, and by doing this I'm going to create a low center of gravity. And collectively, all these nails, all the weight will be on this one nail. So that's what we call balancing nails. So you just stack them, pretty much crisscross them like this, so that they're all locked together. Once you get them all crossed, you put the other one that way. Set them right on top. And there you have it.
Teenagers all over the state and in southern Indiana can be part of that volunteer program, and that information is on our website. I think that, the mission of the Science Center is to get people thinking about the fact that science is in our everyday world. Science is all around us, and a lot of times we take science for granted. And so all of the things that we do here, programs, camps, classes, exhibits, films, those are all ways to encourage people to think just a little differently about the world around them and to think about themselves as scientists and as scientific thinkers, and maybe think differently about something that they see or that they hear or that they observe in the world around them, and to become maybe better problem solvers and to really internalize the fact that science matters to us as a society, and that science is all around us and impacts our everyday lives. And if that's what's being accomplished, I think then the Science Center is meeting its mission on a day-to-day basis. Science matters, and science is exciting, and science is a part of our everyday lives. And you can have fun here and learn something too. I think our biggest asset today and every day is that we're a great value proposition. You make an investment in a day at the Science Center or a Science Center membership, or better yet, a joint membership between the zoo and the Science Center for your family, and you can have great experiences every day that are both fun and educational. And I think that's our winning proposition.
That's all for this Metro Edition. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember, stay connected to your city, your life, and your Louisville right here on the national award-winning Metro TV. Until next time, I'm Matt Schuster. Make it a great day.
Metro TV, a public service of Louisville Metro government.